So I'm going to show you how to make this really simple stretch elastic bracelet. Now this is using the Totally Beads resin Rivolis. So you have the beautiful shine and finish and depth that you would get from a crystal, but because they're resin, they are super lightweight, and of course you're getting amazing value for money. Being resin, they are of course an inexpensive bead for us to be using. Now we're going to be setting them into the claw settings. So you're going to take one of your Rivolis, and you'll see that these are 7 by 21 millimeter. They're made specifically for these settings. So you're going to sit it into the middle, and then the claws are going to hold it into place. So it just sits nicely on the top. You can see it's got a lovely little peak to the base, so it's going to sit neatly. And we also have 2 holes in the settings, so we're going to thread this onto stretch elastic. So we're actually going to thread the bracelet first, and then we will secure the jaws. Now they're nice and soft, so you could actually do it by hand if you would like, but you will probably get a little bit more precision by using your pliers as well. So you just take your flat nose pliers and we're going to push those in. I like to hold the setting at the base with one side of my jaw and then close that around the top. So we're just going to make sure that you get a really nice finish on it. You can see that that will hug the resin crystal. So your resin Rivoli, like so. So you can either attach all of your Rivolis into the claw settings first, or as I've done here, I've actually pre-threaded one base of my claw setting. You can see they've got 2 holes, which is why we get the double strength, top and bottom. So I've pre-threaded one of them, and I'm interspersing the claw settings with a 2 millimeter spacer bead. And this is just going to allow it to sit really nice and neatly. You'll see that the elastic will just go straight through the middle, like so. And you want to make sure, because we're going to bring these 2 ends together to make a bracelet, that you finish one of them on the alternate bead in your pattern. So where I don't have a 2 millimeter spacer bead on this end, I'm going to have to add one on this side, so that when I bring it together, it's of course going to finish my pattern. So I like to finish one row, like so, and depending on the size of bracelet you wish to achieve, of course is going to depend on the amount of Rivolis that you use. So for my wrist, which is about 6.5 to 7 inches, I've actually gone first. This is 17 centimeters, so that's just over 6.5 inches, and I've used 19 of the settings. So I will use a mixture of all 3 colours. Now we do have them in a monochrome silver. We also have them in the beautiful teal, which is what I'm going to use here. And we do also have a purple as well. And as you can see, the graduating colour is absolutely stunning, and that's going to give you a really high-end finish. So I'm going to finish off the top part of my bracelet by adding in the stretch elastic with a 2 millimeter bead in between and going through the other side of my Rivoli setting. Okay, so now that my length is complete, I've finished on alternate beads. So I've got my spacer beads on this end and just the claw setting on this end. Now I'm going to bring them together so that we can complete our bracelet. Make sure that your lengths of elastic are about the same length. And we're going to tie a surgeon's knot. Now I actually want to tie the knot inside one of the carriers. So I'm actually just going to bring the elastic out from that far end on this side. And with my last piece, I'm going to come through to here. And then this way, my knot for the bracelet is going to be hidden inside the carrier. And once I've done the top row, we'll then do the bottom row as well. So I've left it all open and I'm going to attach my resin crystals in afterwards so that you can actually see the knot. So make sure that your elastic is running as tight as possible all the way along the inside so there aren't any gaps in between any of your beads. And then I'm going to tie a surgeon's knot. So I'm going to take the left strand and place it over the right and then pull it together like so, and then again just pulling it so that I've got no gaps. And then I'm going to take the right strand and place it over the left. Now for anyone who knows their knots, that's a reef knot. But then before I tie this knot and strengthen it completely and pull it tight, I'm going to take the end and I'm just going to wrap it around that circle twice more. So that's 1 and that's 2. Doesn't matter if you take the left strand or the right, it'll be fine. And then we're going to pull it nice and tight. Now this is a 0.8mm elastic, so it's got really good strength to it. I can pull that knot nice and tight, and then I'm just going to pull the main body of it a little bit apart as well so that I can make sure that knot has shrunk down as small as possible. And then if you have a look inside your bracelet, you'll see that the knot has shrunk down really small. I could, if I wanted to, just for a bit of extra security, put a little dab of glue on there or a bit of clear nail polish, and that will keep it nice and secure. So forgetting these 2 strands because we've just finished those and worked with them, we're going to do the same thing on the bottom row. So I'm going to take one side of my elastic out of one of my carriers and I will take the other side and pop it through like so. And if you wanted to give the bracelet even more strength, you could even tie the 2 knots in different places so that if it were to come apart at all, it would only be in one row, they're not going to be in the same place. And then we'll pull this one nice and tight, and you'll see now that we've got our lovely bracelet shape, everything is in place, and we'll do the same thing again. So left strand over the right and pull that down. And I'm not overstretching at this point, I'm just bringing it loosely together. And then the right strand over the left. And then the tail is going to go around that circle twice more. And that takes it from a reef knot, which if a reef knot is pushed together will come undone. That takes it from a reef knot to a surgeon's knot. So that's going to be super strong. And once we start adding our rivolis into place, will be completely hidden. Just make sure your knot has bitten and is nice and strong by pulling the body of the bracelet apart slightly. That's going to make your knot have the extra strong bite point. So once that's shrunk down as small as it will go, that's going to give us the perfect finish. Now I'm going to put a little bit of glue on these, allow them to dry, and then we can trim away the excess. And then we're going to be ready to add our crystals in. Right, so I'm ready to start adding my crystals. My glue is still slightly drying on this side, so we'll work from a couple away. And I'm going to start with the darker, and then we're going to give a little ombre effect. So we'll work from the darkest crystal first up to the lightest, and it's going to give us a really nice finish. So again, you can encourage the setting first of all with your fingers, and then just take your flat nose pliers, as delicate a pair as possible, and you just want to make sure that the stone is going to be hugged on either side, and of course that it's as straight as possible to your setting. And then we're going to take our side pieces in, and you can just open up the stretch in the bracelet a little bit and make sure that that's going to hug onto your resin Rivoli like so, and you can see that's going to hold it really beautifully into place. So then we'll go to our medium colour, and I like to just sit it flat on one side and allow that then to rock over to the top, and then you're going to get a really nice, neat, flat finish. You don't want to secure them in wonky. You want this to have the most high-end finish that you can. And you can check that just by looking at the edges. And you'll see when it sits nice and flush. And again, just squeezing through. Now you may wish to set your Rivolis before you make your bracelet. That's entirely up to you. I like to do it afterwards because then I can actually see the bracelet to begin with and where I'm threading in. And then we'll go for the lighter colour. Then that's my 3, and then I'm just going to pop them in alternate colours all the way along the rest of the bracelet.